Hi, Jona. It's Margie with Basmati. How are you?
Hey, Margie. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, of course. I'm great, thank you. I know you're basking in the sun right now, right?
In between sessions, yes.
Yeah. Today we're chatting with Jona Bryndis. She's with transCODES.com, and she's going to share a little bit about transcodes and energy work with us. So I'm super, super excited to chat with you, and I thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Of course. It's really cool what you do here at Basmati, so it's an honor to be able to contribute.
Yes, thank you. And, obviously you already know I love the work that you do and love working with transcodes, and so I feel very fortunate to have you on with us and to share the amazing gifts that have come through the work that I've not only experienced, but so many people that I know. So let's share a little bit about transcodes. First, what do you want to know? Maybe how it came about and what exactly you do with transcodes.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't recall ever having been asked how it came about. Transcodes, the word sounds very technical, and I guess it kind of reflects my way of approaching energy work. I have a degree in chemistry and computer science, and never really thought I was going to have a platform for energy healing and training energy healers and broadcasting energy updates out into the web. Because I didn't really think I could trust in this part of my being. And so for 30 years, I did everything but helping people. I focused on education and consulting. And throughout the different careers that I pursued, I realized that they all had one thing in common, and that was to be of service for others. So I became a nutritional consultant 30 years ago. And Margie, you and I joked about this a while back, but remember when we talked about how some of the things that we shared with other people back in the days, how we were looked at as conspiracy theorists?
Yeah.
Like talking about MSCs and GMO and all this like 30 years ago. Well, this is what I did. And, people thought I was from a different planet. And, over the years, as all sort of this nutritional knowledge became sort of mainstream, it wasn't really interesting for me anymore to try to educate people in that direction. And I began to explore things that had more to do with the energetic point of view, how things are actually sort of go together here, like how does the physical and the emotional and the mental, how does that go together with the spiritual? So for me as a scientist, originally as a scientist, it was important to explore more of what I had already done. 30 years ago, I explored how the food that we eat and the exercise that we do, how that interacts with our energy, with the output that we have. And now, over the last 20 years that I've educated myself and trained in various energy work modalities, I'm teaching people how to include all of these different levels, the physical, the metabolic, the exercise, the emotional, relationship aspects, and how to deal with their emotions and more efficiently, mental, how to work with their own beliefs and programs that they have in their minds, and spiritual beliefs into the energetic, into like what it really means or how it really affects our system on the deepest level of our energy. So we really make a big point here at transCODES to produce sort of a teaching that allows people to understand why energy is not some kind of woo-woo thing, all right?
Yeah.
How the energy behind everything or underneath, our physical issues, our emotional issues, our mental or spiritual conflicts, how that is all connected. So for us, it's like body, mind, and spirit, heart, and soul. That's basically what the energy work means to us. And this is how we teach it. So we teach it to anyone who's interested in understanding and getting to know their own energy, and also professionals, which is my personal favorite, to help professionals such as medical doctors, body workers, personal trainers, life coaches, counselors, and so forth. People who are already in the healing arts, who are already working with people, how to integrate energy work into their practice. And besides that, transCODES also offers a large community, a community that is based on people who want to learn these things and want to actually be able to communicate on that level. Because one of the things that we've noticed over the years is that the biggest issue with people who are awakening to their energetic sensitivity / empath, being an empath, the biggest problem is that we think we're alone and that we have nobody really to talk to, because especially if we're somewhat of the older generation, I guess I can call myself now.
We both can.
Being of the older generation. We've had some bad experiences in the past, but the number of people who are actually awakening to their energetic senses now is skyrocketing, all right? And it's not like it was 20, 30 years anymore. I would have, forgive me to say it that way, rather killed myself than say out loud, I'm an energy healer 30 years ago.
Oh, we would have been in a straitjacket, though.
Right? And see, this is one of those typical stories, really, that I work with. So when I work in energy coaching with people is, going through all these resistances and trauma in some cases even that we've experienced in the past, to fully sort of be able or wanting to become our true self, to become, who we truly are, and to excel in our highest potential. I would have never thought that I'd end up as an energy healer, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I've learned, over the decades, how to integrate everything. And if I look back, coming from science, coming from computer programming, computer coding, working in the nutritional field, working in business consulting, working in life coaching, what I'm doing now is basically the combination of all of that.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's important to help people to find their talent and their passion, but not just based on the things that they, due to their belief system, approve of, but to help them see what's underneath that. Because a lot of times it's not easy for us to connect with our true talents, because we have this overlay, this mental overlay of what's acceptable for us and what isn't. And often all it takes is a little bit of reframing.
Yeah, and just a slight shift. Kim, would you mind going into the importance of inner power? Because I know through my own work with you and how important that is, that our real inner power is in us, and the ability of self-healing and what's available for us.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the biggest movements right now, is apart, of course, from sort of showing that energy work is not some spiritual woo-woo, but that it's actually something that can be applied in a very technical manner, and that can be learned by anyone, by the way. is the understanding that the highest potential and the greatest power of healing comes from within the person. There is no healer, no supplement, no exercise, no nothing, or book out there that, or even medication that can even marginally reach the power of our own self-healing ability. The problem with that is that we have not been trained, or never told, by the way, for that matter, that we can access our own self-healing powers and that we can work them. So for me, this whole sort of global awakening phenomenon that we are seeing here is all about reclaiming our self-healing powers. And that has to do with how we regard power or higher power altogether. It's a collective program in us to believe that higher power, say God, but without the religious connotation, is somewhere up there, somewhere out there, somewhere outside of us. And this collective program is what's been keeping us sort of in this mental spiritual prison over the last thousands of years. And as, people are awakening to their, it's hard to say it without sounding spiritual, like esoteric or New Agey. But as they're awakening to their, let's just call it seventh sense, that's not just the gut feeling, not just intuition. There is even more. There's another layer there. Where we feel promptings, where we feel this really clear, like go, get up, do this, and you have no clue why you're being prompted to do this. And you do it, and then in retrospect, you look back and you're like, oh, wow, there's something greater going on here, and that is not something, your angel guides or spirit guides or whatever told you. This is actually something that is coming from within you. It's a voice, we call it the true self voice, that can prompt you into the right direction to do something that is most advantageous for you. And that's a power. But in order to access that power, and in order to work it, we need to find ways how to connect within first. And for most people, the connecting process is the hardest part in the beginning, because they have this mental and spiritual overlay, believing that the greater power, that power that they are sort of trying to connect with, is somewhere outside of them. Okay, so the hardest part in this whole process of self-healing and healing is for a person to learn that this is actually within themselves and not outside. And we teach this with all different kinds of energy work modalities, as simple as breathing techniques, of course, and meditation, of course, and transcendental meditation, and the physical exercises, and the emotional exercises, and so forth. So all that it leads to is that we begin to see ourselves more sort of as an integrated system rather than compartmentalized. This is my body, and this is my heart, or my emotion, and this is my thought, and this is my spiritual belief. Energy work can actually help to bring all of that together and really teach a person how to become whole from within. And as soon as a person experiences that themselves for the first couple of times, that's when the whole process of self-healing begins. And it's self-propelled, which means it's something that is set in motion from then on, that actually continues for the person and unfolds in often mysterious or miraculous ways, but it's something that can be taught. This is not as mystical as it sounds. It is a hands-on skill, right?
Yes, it is. Yes. It's taught and practiced, right? Just like when we do an exercise, or it's like brushing our teeth. It becomes a part of us, our everyday, our being, right? Our way of being.
And that's actually a big one, Margie. You know this about me. We stress this all the time. We say, this is a new skill that you're learning here, and you're going to have to work it like a muscle. You're going to have to build muscle memory, so that you are able to better respond to things as they happen in your life. All right. And so repetition is a big part of that, and these remote energy sessions, which we use for training, we use these for learning and for teaching. Their purpose is to help a person to deal with issues in the safe place, in the safe internal place, with us sort of being there and observing their energy as they're going through this, so that they can practice. Like, I want to be a bit more practical here, make an example, to be able to respond, say, to like a relationship issue as it comes up. So we use energy work almost like, if you will, for training, for dry training, training emotional processes, training mental processes, training physical processes even.
Yes. I know it's very effective. I know how, in my own personal life, how much has shifted because of this work, and it is practice and so freeing and beautiful at the same time. All of it. It's a remembering of who we really are, right? It brings us back to this heart-centered and place that is unbelievable and practical and grounded, and we still drive to work, right, Jona? We cook our food. It doesn't mean we're out in a cave somewhere practicing meditation all day. We are living full lives, very full lives, with a lot of activities in it, but able to interact and do it in such a way that is very empowering for ourselves. It's a way of being in this world, and the importance of self-healing on not just a physical level, but an energetic level. We've seen amazing things happen with that.
Right, and you say practical and grounded. I think this is really important to point out. We often make a big point for people to say, look, this is not about some sort of metaphysical concept, right? This is hands down. We call this energy coaching, okay? So we observe a person's energy in an energy session, and there's we've got 40 different types of modalities, anything from clearing, integrating, connecting, and so forth. And we observe a person's energy and then reflect it back to them. And when we talk to them in energy coaching, we bring it into practical terms. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, when someone has a first chakra issue, like you and I both do, right?
Yeah.
I think it's okay to say that.
Oh, absolutely.
Then first chakra things, that are in our root, that are in our foundation, you cannot access them with your mind. In fact, you cannot even access them emotionally, because they are often rooted in our early childhood and often even karmic, all right, which means at those places, like even prenatal places, there is no connection in our nervous system that could access these parts. And this is where energy work comes in. But what we can do is we can help a person through energy coaching to find a way to ground them into their physical. One of the most frequent advice that I give to people with first chakra issues is go chop wood.
Yeah.
If you're a guy, if you're a girl, it'd be more things that have to do with connecting with the earth, literally connecting with the earth, getting your hands into dirt.
Plant a garden, yeah, that's what I
plant a garden,
yeah.
or even, knead a dough or something
Yeah.
like that. All right, this is energy coaching, helping people to translate energetic processes into their practical lives. And more often than not, we actually encourage people to do deep meditation and so forth, or to integrate deep meditation into their daily life, like walking meditations, or, while you're doing dishes, or, deep, like you said, way of life. I really like that when you said that. Because
it is. I'll give an example, and I just shared this with a friend yesterday. I have my routine in the morning when I get up, right? Sometimes the cat or dog or something messes it up, but typically it's, pretty much the same thing at 4 a.m. And I brush my teeth, and it's, that's the process. And prior to that or after, I just do a quick chakra check, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same as I would take care of my physical body. I'm taking care of that inside. And it's basically at the same time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making a special,
exactly.
It's not a big deal. It's like
you don't have to wear red socks and be in a certain pose to do energy work.
No.
I think I've said this with you before. My first chakra exercise is when I mop my floors.
That's I know you and I we both have the same thing, People yes, I'm clean and organized, but man,
it's the floor.
Yeah.
It makes this like a 2,000 calorie exercise, where I really ground with the earth, and it sounds so not mystical, but this is really one of the things that people really have to learn to let go of, is the spiritual specialness that comes with a lot of the new agey stuff in the past. We're at a point now where we can connect science with energy work, and it's like the amount of research that is being done in this area, and consciousness science and so forth is every day is adding to the ways to connect this and really say, okay, look, this is not just some woo-woo thing for you to ascend, this is hands-on for you to be able to live a healthier, happier, more fulfilled, and more abundant life.
Right now.
We can use
we
can use energy work to teach people how to create more abundance in their life, how to bypass the unconscious abundance blocks that they have, things that are rooted in beliefs, that are rooted in some of their family karma sometimes, that they're not even aware of. And this is the problem with mentalizing things, because we can only really access things with our mind that are based in the mind, and then you run into this block and you can't do anything about it. This is right now one of the big issues for people is the looping. You go there and you have the knowledge, but you can't really put this into action.
Yeah.
Because you're running into unconscious blocks. And this is what energy work can help us with. And the energy coaching, which is basically just us or a trained energy worker translating, what these or how these blocks can be addressed in your life, depending on, of course, what angle you came from. If you came with a physical issue, then the energy work can help to actually release energies and to physically remove them. If you came with an emotional issue, energy coaching and energy work can help you to see things differently and to express things differently as well, so that you have, so you can find healthier, more beneficial ways to express your emotions. And when it's mental, you can help a person to reframe the context to recontextualize what they're experiencing so that they can literally hold a different thought when they're doing something. Because what most people underestimate is that what we hold in our body, what we hold in our emotions, what we hold in our mind, is what determines our reality. And so, energy work can help us unwind that and see, oh my God, you can have like the coolest spiritual, metaphysical understanding, and yet unconsciously through your emotions hold certain beliefs, or certain trauma. Trauma is a good example,
Trauma is a really good example.
That, no matter how hard you try, you cannot get past this. And this is where energy work comes in, because it can bypass these emotional, physical, mental blocks, and sometimes also spiritual blocks. This is something we ran into just the last couple of weeks, actually. Really interesting. In the Western world, regardless of what religion we are affiliated with, I'm talking about the Western world, the white population. Deep down, we're all Catholics. This is what one of the founding blocks of our society, of our Western society. And even though, maybe we don't go to church, or we don't necessarily, would call ourselves Christians, there is a deep belief in us, that not only God is outside of us, because that you find actually in almost all religions, but also that there's some kind of punitive aspect to it, and that there is something like the sin, the original, like being faulty as the original state. Those are, and I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying this. I'm really just stating the obvious. It has nothing to do with my own beliefs. But, this is something that has influenced us over centuries in our thinking of how we see ourselves as humans. And if we hold this in mind, even if it's in a very unconscious, deep down level, that we are all sinful and flawed, it can be difficult to overcome working through things such as our own shadow aspects, or things that we don't like about ourselves, that we cannot love about ourselves. And when it comes to self-healing and unlocking this inner power that we talked about earlier, being able to love the whole, of us and all the aspects that we bring in is essential. It's instrumental. And so sometimes we're up against spiritual blocks that a person is not even aware of.
Yes.
Not to mention, of course, sometimes karmic aspects as well. Whether we believe in reincarnation or not, it's not how people think it is. Reincarnation is really more of a mainstream version of talking about retrocausality. Okay, and retrocausality means basically that past, present, and future exist at the same time. So reincarnation is really just expressing that there's a simultaneous existence in different dimensions, in different lifetimes, and that we have bleed-throughs. Those are not necessarily lifetimes, here on this planet or in this human dimension. So we carry, in our energy field, we carry a lot more than we can understand with our minds, And energy work can actually help with that, even if we cannot fully understand it. We don't have to understand things with our mind in order to work our energy. That's the cool thing. It's an ego limitation to think that we have to sort of be able to put it into sort of this linear mental level, but we don't. Energy work teaches us that, you know, high vibratory solutions are really in the field of surrendering all of that, including the mind. Right?
Yeah.
So that was a lot of theory here.
That was a lot, but I loved it. I loved it. I would like to ask, so I know this, but for everyone who's listening, this work is remote work. And yes, there's a community where people share and then you can set up the coaching sessions. But would you share how that what that looks like for the sessions?
Yeah, so first of all, we have sessions like everybody else, like a doctor or a counselor, you know, or whatever. You know, we make an appointment with a person and then we talk to them, or we have an energy session, which we administer remotely, meaning that we're using our ability to read a person's energy field through distance. All right. Then we have what is probably one of our main way of working with people is through group sessions. Here what we do is we offer these remote sessions publicly, and people can sign in from anywhere. There's a random or seemingly random group of people that work on the same thing. They have no idea who the others are. They don't know each other. They, you know, it doesn't matter. But as we do this, we're basically amping up the field, the healing field, and we're bringing in a synergetic effect. This is sort of one of our main means of working with people. And then we talk to them afterwards, either in our transmission forum, where we report the findings of a session and where people can ask questions and reflect on it, or we talk with them in an individual energy coaching session. What we have developed over the years of doing this is a 24-step self-healing program, meaning that we've, you know, taken the 24 most prevalent and most frequent energy processes that a person goes through on their self-healing journey and that they need to learn to work with. We've put these 24 different modalities into a self-teaching course that's called the Sacred Self-Healing Program. And out of that Sacred Self-Healing Program, and the users, the people who signed up for this and who are teaching themselves that way, we have developed an online community. And we meet frequently, usually once a week. We do free workshops, we do meetings, and discuss the deeper aspects of our self-healing journey based on these different modalities. But just recently we had a workshop, for instance, about cryptocurrencies and what this means to our self-mastery. So it's also very practical. And out of this now, and this is, I think, where all of this is going, Margie, in the future, out of this now is a whole new level developing, and that is that, you know, these participants, these people who've trained themselves are starting to create physical circles, local circles. They're building local communities now around, you know, how to work your energy and provide, facilitate a place to share, to talk about these deeper aspects of consciousness, deeper aspects of self-healing, and basically sort of self-help groups. So our mission here with transCODES, besides, of course, helping the individual, helping and teaching and training professionals so that they can help individuals, is also and has always been to provide a platform and a community for healing practitioners and their communities.
Yes.
Right. So I'm actually really excited about moving into the physical with this,
I am too. It's very exciting. It's really, really been amazing to watch this unfold, right? It's really cool what's happening, and how, and also I'm going to touch base on, it all goes back to that we are not alone, and that people are wanting, that we're craving this. It's this inner calling, and there's a genuine, heartfelt compassion that comes along with all of it. It's really amazing.
And also a synergy, and I think this is something, like the Basmati community understands. Synergy is when two energies or two people or two businesses or whatever come together and create more than just the sum of the two parts. And this is where this is all going here in our world in the future. Collaboration.
Yes.
And working together. We don't have to own to be able to enjoy certain things. We can share things. We can create synergy. Everything in the direction of self-sustainability and things that are in harmony with nature, harmony with our needs as humans, but also in harmony with abundance and love and healing. And those things can be practiced. They can be trained.
Yes. That was beautifully said, by the way. That's perfect. I think we will end on that note, although we'll have to do this again, Jona, for sure.
Anytime. I love it.
Thank you so much, Jona. And this is Jona Bryndis with transCODES.com. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you, Margie.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Awesome.
Bye. Bye.